Welcome to the Authorize.net New Merchant webinar. My name is Caleb, and today I'd like to present an overview of the credit card process and Authorize.net's role in that process. This overview is designed for new merchants and will hopefully answer basic questions you might have about the service that Authorize.net offers. Today's webinar will address the following: the credit card process, which explains how payments work and the different transaction types Authorize.net uses, Authorize.net's homepage and how to log in, navigation in the merchant interface and how to process transactions manually, settings including security options Authorize.net offers, decline transactions versus transactions that return an error, a quick overview of our additional services, including the Authorize.net mobile app, Authorize.net self-help tools, and finally, we will introduce a site and resources that will help you or your developer integrate your website to Authorize.net. We also offer a wide variety of video demos that can walk you through features that will be discussed in this presentation, as well as many that are not covered today. These videos can be found at www.authorize.net/videos. We highly recommend viewing these videos at your convenience, as they are an excellent visual resource for merchants. Let's get started with a short video that presents a high-level overview of how credit card payments work.
How credit card payments work. Paying with a credit card has many benefits, including convenience, easy tracking, and security. And when merchants use Authorize.net, they can accept all major credit card brands on their website, mobile device, or retail store. Paying with a credit card has three basic steps: authorization, capture, and settlement. If you've purchased something using a credit card, then you've seen authorization at work. When your card is swiped at the checkout counter, or when you click Submit on the checkout form online, Authorize.net manages the process of checking to make sure you have sufficient funds available for the purchase. This is authorization. After verifying that funds are available, a hold is placed on the money. This is capture. Once the funds are captured, the merchant can hand over or ship the goods and be confident that they'll be paid. However, the merchant doesn't have their money yet. The process of transferring money from the customer's credit card or bank account to the merchant's bank account is called settlement. Settlement usually occurs once each business day. During settlement, the banks connect to each other. Authorize.net begins the settlement process by aggregating the daily transaction details and sending them to the merchant's bank. The payment network then handles the settlement. Once settlement is complete, the buyer's money is transferred to the merchant's bank account. Meanwhile, the customer's bank posts a charge on the customer's account. The transaction is now complete, and the purchase will show up on the customer's credit card statement.
To further clarify, Authorize.net obtains the authorization for transactions by communicating with the processor that is set up by a merchant service provider. A variety of checks are done by Authorize.net, including address, card code, and any additional fraud settings the merchant has selected. We will cover these settings later in the presentation. Once the merchant service provider receives the batch, they are responsible for funding you, the merchant, for the transaction. They also determine how long it takes to fund you once the transaction has settled. For almost all funding-related questions, you will want to contact your merchant service provider. Each transaction has a transaction type. I'll go over the major ones and how they are used. Authorize with auto capture is the default transaction type. This will authorize a transaction and then capture it so that it will settle with the next batch. These transactions are assigned the status of captured pending settlement in the unsettled transactions area. Authorize only will authorize a transaction but will not capture it. The status of these transactions are authorized pending capture. You will need to go to the unsettled transactions area of your merchant interface to capture it before it will settle. You only have 30 days in which to capture this type of transaction before it expires. If it expires, you can no longer capture those funds and would have to reprocess the card. Examples of businesses that might use this type of transaction are hotels, car rentals, or any other businesses that will capture funds when they actually ship the product or offer the service. A void allows you to cancel any transaction that has still not been batched out. If the transaction has already been settled, you cannot void it. You would have to refund it. Which brings us to the last transaction type we'll talk about, a credit or refund. This allows you to return funds to the original credit card. Bear in mind that there are a few requirements to issue a refund. It must go back to the same card for the original amount or less. The credit must happen within 120 days of the original transaction, and the original transaction needs to have ran through the Authorize.net account you are trying to refund through. These requirements help protect you from fraudulent or accidental refunds. The Authorize.net homepage has useful content for both new merchants and those who may already be familiar with our service. To get to the homepage, navigate to www.authorize.net. You will see several options on the top of the page. Most of what is contained in these links is covered in today's webinar. Scrolling to the bottom of the page, you will notice several more links, including the support link, which will take you to our online knowledge base where you can find answers to almost any question you have regarding your account. The Developer Center directs users to an Authorize.net resource for website developers to help them integrate a merchant's website with Authorize.net. You can also find options to take you to our video tutorials, certified developers that can help you integrate your website, and other third-party partners that we work with, like shopping carts and point-of-sale software. Finally, our status page can be located by clicking on Status. This page provides real-time, 24/7 updates in the event of any downtime or other system updates. Now let's log into your account. Logging into your account is easy. From the Authorize.net homepage, hover over Sign In and select Merchants. This will take you to the Merchant Interface login page. Enter your login ID and password and click the Login button. If you ever forget your login ID or password, you can use the corresponding links to retrieve those items, but you will need to know the email address associated with your profile, as well as the answer to your security question. If you aren't signed in already, go ahead and do so now. If you are unable to sign in, you may contact our customer support team at 877-447-3938, and they will be happy to assist you. After activating your gateway, the account is automatically put in test mode. This can be seen by the orange banner in the merchant interface that says the account is in test mode. While an account is in test mode, if a transaction is submitted, it will always generate a successful response. However, no transaction data is actually recorded or processed. This means that any transaction information is lost when test mode is active. To disable test mode, simply click the test mode link in the orange bar and move the slider to live. Test mode must be disabled to process real transactions. If transactions were submitted while in test mode, they will need to be resubmitted in live mode to receive payment. You can toggle between test and live mode if you ever need to do so by clicking on the Account tab in the merchant interface and locating the test mode link. The Authorize.net virtual terminal allows you to charge or refund a credit card or bank account. You can access this feature by clicking on the Tools tab at the top of your screen or by selecting Virtual Terminal from the home page on the left side menu. As discussed previously in this presentation, there are several transactions types to choose from. Most of our merchants will select the default, Authorize and Capture. Capture Only is only used when you have previously obtained an authorization from a voice authorization line and need to capture that authorization. Based on business needs, continue on by filling out whatever information you would like to capture. At the very minimum, the credit card number, expiration date, and amount are required. Though most merchants prefer to capture more data, once all the customer data is entered, click Submit at the bottom of the page. Your transaction result will appear on the next page. This transaction has been accepted indicates a successful authorization was obtained. This transaction has been declined indicates a problem. You can find out why the transaction was declined by clicking on the transaction ID. The transaction details page can be accessed by clicking on any transaction ID within the merchant interface. This page displays the result of the transaction, an option to print a receipt, authorization information, which includes the authorization code if the transaction is approved, the address verification and card code verification status, the customer IP address, if submitted via a website, and other details relating to the authorization of that transaction. Payment information is used to identify the card type and last 4 digits of the card number, and order information and customer billing information display the name, address, and contact information of your customer if it was entered when the transaction was processed. Address Verification Service, or AVS, compares the billing address on the transaction to the address on file with the credit card company. When Authorize.net receives the transaction authorization back with that AVS code, we will decline it or accept it based on the settings that have been selected in the merchant interface. The merchant can customize their AVS settings and determine which AVS codes to decline or accept. We strongly encourage merchants to look at their AVS settings and make sure they are set correctly based on their business needs. Please note, AVS settings may need to be adjusted if you plan to accept transactions from certain countries. Please contact our merchant support team to learn more. AVS only checks the numerical data in the address and zip code. In other words, it does not check the street name or other non-numerical data. After the address is checked, your processor will assign an AVS code to the transaction. In this example, the processor assigned an AVS code of Z because the address did not match, but the zip code did. The card code value is the 3-digit number located on the back of your credit card, or 4 digits located on the front of an American Express card. Similar to the address verification service, the processor compares the card code in the transaction with the card code on file with the credit card company and assigns a CCV value to the transaction. Authorize.net then accepts or declines that transaction based on the settings that the merchant sets in the merchant interface. To change these settings, visit the Account tab and click on Card Code Verification. It is important to note that declines are not errors. When a card is declined, it is declined for a specific reason. To locate the reason, please look at the Transaction Details page for that specific transaction in the merchant interface. Some of the more common reasons for declines are general declines. This is when the transaction did not get approved by the card issuing bank. Authorize.net does not know why the transaction was declined, and to get specifics on this decline, the customer would need to contact their card issuing bank. AVS or CCV mismatch. This happens when the transaction was declined due to the settings that have been selected in the merchant interface. AVS or CCV declines may result in the funds still being on hold with the customer's bank. Normally, the funds are released within 1 to 3 business days, depending on the bank. To expedite the release of those funds, merchants can contact the bank with the authorization code and their merchant ID to request the release of those funds. However, it is still up to the discretion of the bank whether or not those funds will be released in an expedited manner. API errors. If a transaction has an error, there will be an error number or reason response code associated with it. Use our reason response code tool, reach out to your developer, or contact our customer support team to troubleshoot these errors. General errors will occur when Authorize.net does not have a valid connection to your merchant service provider's processor. For these errors, you will want to first contact your merchant service provider to ensure your account is in good standing and that you have the correct processing configuration. Feel free to also reach out to our merchant support team for assistance with these errors. Authorize.net offers several ways to search for your transactions. If the transaction was processed the same day you are attempting to locate it, you would simply click Unsettled Transactions from the left side menu of the home screen. This will take you to a list of all the transactions that have processed since your last cutoff time. Another way to search is by clicking on the Search tab across the top of every page in the merchant interface. Here you have the option to search by settlement date or date range, the last four digits of the customer's card or bank account number, the customer's name or ID, or the transaction or invoice number. Keep in mind, if the transaction was processed that day, you would need to locate it in the unsettled transactions. It will not show up by search in the Search by Batch page. As previously discussed, Authorize.net sends a batch of transactions to your processor automatically once per day at a time set by the merchant. Both the time zone and the cutoff time can be changed within the merchant interface under the Account tab, but by default the cutoff time is 3 o'clock Pacific. Keep in mind that changes may not take effect immediately. It can take up to 24 hours for changes to be applied, which could potentially cause an account to skip a batch for a particular day. Because of this, it is recommended merchants change the cutoff time as infrequently as possible. Authorize.net provides a variety of additional services. We will outline these services and reasons why you may want to add them to your account. Starting with eCheck.net. eCheck.net is a service that allows you to electronically charge a bank account, whether it be a checking, savings, or business checking account. This ability can increase your customer base by allowing more options for payment by your customers. Also, eCheck transactions have lower fees and rates applied to them when compared with credit card transactions. To apply for eCheck.net, simply fill out the online application found in the merchant interface under the eCheck option. The Advanced Fraud Detection Suite, or AFDS, allows you to set specific filters to help protect you from fraud. For example, you can set amount limits for your transactions. You can determine a limit for the number of transactions you process per hour or day, and you can choose to accept or decline transactions from certain areas of the world. These are just some of the many filters available to merchants that sign up for AFDS. You not only determine what transactions are caught, but you can also decide what you want Authorize.net to do with transactions that have triggered those filters. You can accept them. You can accept them and request an email that the filter was triggered be sent to you, decline them, authorize them but hold them for review, or hold them for review before authorizing them. In some cases, you may also be able to choose a variety of those options. AFDS is a powerful service for those concerned with fraudulent activity. To learn more or sign up for AFDS, log in to the merchant interface and click the Fraud Detection link. Automated Recurring Billing, or ARB, is a service that allows you to set up subscriptions for your customers. The subscription will automatically charge your customer a specified amount at regular intervals, whether it be monthly, bi-weekly, or yearly. Merchants determine how often the subscription charges their customers and how long the subscription lasts. This service is great for any merchant that would like to charge their customers a recurring amount at regular intervals. Examples of companies that might use this service are companies that offer magazine subscriptions, online gaming subscriptions, book of the month clubs, etc. Like AFDS and eCheck, you can find out more and sign up for ARB in the merchant interface. Customer Information Manager, or CIM, is a service that allows you to store your customers' billing information on our secure servers, allowing you to charge or refund a credit card or bank account at any time for any amount. This service is great for any merchant that would like to charge their customers different amounts on a regular basis. For example, cell phone companies, utility companies, etc. This service can also be used to allow customers to create payment profiles themselves if you integrate this service with your website. Customers would be able to shop again and again without having to put in their billing information every time they shop on your site. Information and sign up is located in the merchant interface. The free Authorize.net mobile application allows you to securely accept payments anywhere you want. This could potentially increase your sales by providing an easy way to accept payments on the go using your Authorize.net payment gateway account. Available for Apple iOS and Android devices, the application has a free download and no additional cost to use. Card readers can be purchased for an even easier way to accept transactions. The card readers must be purchased through our authorized retailer in order to work with our app. You are able to charge, refund, and void transactions through the app, as well as view transaction history. Almost all merchants will integrate their website with Authorize.net. If you would like to integrate your website with Authorize.net but don't know how, you can find a certified developer or shopping cart on our Authorize.net homepage. These are third-party vendors that have experience with the integration methods offered by Authorize.net. If you are a developer or will not be using one of our certified developers, we provide a great resource for you to integrate using various integration methods. To help you with integration, please go to developer.authorize.net. On this site, we have extensive integration guides for you to use. We also have many sample codes in various scripting languages that can help get you started. The Response Reason Code tool is also available to help you troubleshoot any errors you might receive when submitting transactions. Although we offer numerous ways to integrate your website with Authorize.net, for all integration methods, you will need to know your API login ID and transaction key. There is also a developer community forum located at community.developer.authorize.net. This forum is designed to help developers get answers to questions they might have. If you have trouble integrating with Authorize.net, this is an excellent option to find support. Your Authorize.net API login ID and transaction key can be found under the Account tab within your merchant interface. You will need to know the answer to your secret question in order to obtain these credentials. Once obtained, you will be able to view the API login ID whenever you'd like by coming back into this section, as the login ID never changes. However, the transaction key is only viewable once and must be reset if you need it again. Only one transaction key is valid at any given time. So if you reset your transaction key, you must update your site's code or shopping cart with the most current key in order to continue processing payments through your online store. Authorize.net provides a number of self-help resources. As we have discussed, integration self-help options like the Response Reason Code tool can be found on our developer site. But Authorize.net also offers a support center. It can be found at support.authorize.net. You can search by questions you have or specific terms. You can also view popular or recent articles that other merchants have viewed. The Support Center is a great tool to get answers to almost anything related to your Authorize.net account. If Authorize.net experiences incidents such as slow processing times or downtimes, our status page located at status.authorize.net is updated immediately to reflect that. This is a great site to bookmark and quickly check before contacting support to inquire about potential issues. If our self-help resources can't answer your questions and you'd like to contact us, please log into the merchant interface. Click the Contact Us link at the top of the page. Here you will be presented with a variety of options that you can use to contact us, including chat, e-ticket, and phone. Our award-winning merchant support line is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, closed major holidays. If you have a question or update that is not urgent, the e-ticket option is a great way to get help. Thank you for attending the Authorize.net New Merchant webinar. Feel free to bookmark this page and come back later to review anything that has been covered today. We appreciate your time in business and welcome to Authorize.net.